important thing to know is that bi means 2. Why do we have 2? It's 2 outcomes. Outcomes are success or failure. All right? Not having to do with your personal success or failure of a trial. All right, so we're looking at this problem. 30% of M&Ms are covered in speckles and mixed randomly with the normal candies. You buy a bag and remove candies one at a time looking for speckles. What is the probability that one of the first 3 candies is speckled? So usually what I like to do is, first of all, what's the probability a single M&M? We're going to call the probability of success is P. All right. What's the probability a single M&M is speckled? It's 0.3. So that's important to know. Now, how many candies am I going to pull out? That's N, the number of trials I'm going to do. Okay. So that's number of trials. And it's very important that this probability stays the same, that it doesn't change. Probability of success, right here. Okay, so what's one way to get one of the first 3 to be speckled? Well, I could do a not speckled candy, then a speckled, and then a not speckled. All right, so let's find out the probability of that. Probability of the first candy is not speckled is 0.7. Probability the second candy is speckled is 0.3. The probability the third candy is speckled is 0.7. Now the question I have for you, is this an AND probability or an OR probability? Am I trying to get the first one speckled or the second, the first one not speckled or the second one speckled or the third one not speckled? No, I want them all to happen at the same time. And remember, for ANDs, we're normally multiplying. And I will get 0.147. Is that the only way to get one speckled candy? No, I could get it first or third. Does that change the answer? No, because all you're doing when you do that is rearranging your probabilities. And if you remember your commutative, pretend that's speckled, sorry. If you remember your commutative property of multiplication, doesn't matter what order you multiply, you get the same answer. So what I can do is add up all 3 of these. The probability that x equals 1, that means one success, is the addition of all these. All right? Or I could have just multiplied by 3. And that's 0.441. All right. Flip a coin 4 times. What's the probability of getting 2 heads? So let's try and look at that. I could get 2 heads first. That seems to be the most popular option. And this one feels weird because the probability of a heads on one flip is 1/2. And the probability of not heads, by the way, I'm going to use this term Q, that means the opposite, is also 1/2. So they look the same. It's kind of weird. Let me make a, that's Q, and pretend that's a Q, and that's P. All right? So we're going to have 1/2 times 1/2, half times 1/2, which is 1/16. All right? Now, I could go figure out all the different ways to get 2 heads out of 4. But hopefully you remember from a prior lesson when we did combinations, I have 4 places to choose from to put my 2 heads. Okay. And I could either put it in spot 1, spot 2, spot 3, or spot 4. If I decide to put the head in spot 1 and then spot 2, is that different from spot 2 then spot 1? No. So it's actually combinations. So the number of different ways to do this, all right, is 4C2, number of different ways, to get 2 heads out of 4 flips. Remember, we're doing C combination because order doesn't matter. So my shortcut now is P equals P probability that X is 2, that's N, that's X, is just 4C2 times 1/16. And I could calculate it. I'll do my shortcut. It's 4 times 3 over 2 times 1 times 1/16, which is 6/16. 10, that's a 16. Just to quickly review, just for combinations, how many ways are there to achieve k successes in Bernoulli trials? Probability that x is a number, some specific number, in that case it was 2, is n cx. This is our general formula. All right, so that's for the probability. Okay, and just to rehash in case you can't remember how to do combinations on your calculator, you hit n, then you do math. Scroll right to PRB, scroll down to NCR, and press enter, and then make sure you put R. These are both numbers. You're not going to actually hit the N key. All right, so whatever it was. In our example, N was 4, R was 2, and we're going to be using X for that in that lesson.